Hi everyone, welcome to this first video in a series where we go through this repository and we do some exercises and we learn some HTML and CSS. Hopefully it will be useful to you. All of the lessons are going to follow a similar sort of pattern where I've got a README and I've got resources for you to complete each lesson. So hopefully it will be decently structured. I'll try and do a video like this for most of them, although it takes time to do the video. So there may be some without a video, but hopefully you'll be able to work through them and build up your skills in HTML and CSS. So let's get going. All right, so this is a typical README just so that you can see what's going on. This is the repository here, so it's got a whole bunch of lessons. The first one we're looking at is Basics, and it's got a solution folder, so I'll try and leave a solution here, and it's got a README, and basically if you follow through this, you should be able to follow the lesson. You can also follow along on the video here. All right, so it's saying what we're going to do is we're going to, and by the way, this lesson we did in class, so most of you have already done this. This is mainly for students that missed a lesson, or you want to review what we did in the first lesson or two. All right, so we're going to visit CAT's Wikipedia page, and we're just going to copy the first two paragraphs. So, it's basically, just copying and pasting a couple of paragraphs there. And takes a while to come back. Okay, we're going to create an index.html. We're going to copy and paste some stuff. We're going to create an external style sheet. We're going to place just some basic styling. We will create an additional page called created from domesticated.html. We'll populate that. We'll put a couple of paragraphs in. We'll create a link and we'll create a backlink. So we're doing some just really basic formatting and an external style sheet and a hyperlink or an anchor tag. So that's what we're up to. So step one says we should go to Wikipedia and copy and paste the first two paragraphs. So I will do that right now. Control C. And what does it say to do next? Create a file called index.html. So if you didn't hear it in class, you should know that for every project you create, really the first file should be an index.html. That should be your home page. Now, if you don't know it, what you can do, if you've got a .html file, you can put an exclamation mark there and just press enter. It'll give you just like a basic template for a page. And then what you're looking for really is this body section. And you can just Control V into there and it will paste all that stuff we've just copied in. And you can see that it doesn't have line wrap here. If you do want line wrap, what you can do is on a Windows, it's Alt Z. I'm not sure what it is on a Mac, but on a Windows, it's Alt Z. And that just turns wrap on and off. They can both be useful views. It depends on what you're doing. All right, that's the first thing. So we can now put preview on since we've got some file there. And that's what we've got. So our goal is to sort of, try and, as best we can, not exactly, but reproduce this text to make this side look like this side. So that's what we want to do. And maybe the first thing we might notice is that the font on this side is different to the font on this side. I'm not exactly sure what the exact font is. We could put an inspector on and have a look, but we won't bother with that. All we'll observe is that it is a sans serif file. So we want sans serif here. So let's set this up so we can have sans serif. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing styling. We could do a style section like this and put in the styling here. In fact, maybe we'll do it so that you can see. And we can go, so now we're styling the body. So we're styling basically everything that falls in here. We're saying we want a font family of a sans sort of thing. And you can see straight away this changes over. Now this is an internal style sheet. And you should keep in mind that when while I'm doing some of these lessons, I'll use internal style sheets. In fact, I'll even use some inline styling. But for your project, you're going to need an external style sheet. And just so that we can run through the process of creating an external style sheet, let's create one now. So I will go new file, and I'm going to call it style.css. Press enter to that. We get a new file come up. Now what we can do is this stuff here, which is all CSS, we can go Control X. You can see that the formatting has changed. And what we can do now is we can go V, Control V, and it doesn't come back yet because we basically need to link this file to this file. So if we go here and we might even get rid of the style, inline style, internal style, sorry. And if you type in link, just link and then tab, what you'll see is that it asks for an href, and here we type in the name of the file, we get prompted, so I just press tab, and you can see that it's picked it up. You can see that the styling's changed. So we've picked up basically our styling from our external style sheet. Right now, if we look at our sample here, not here, we look at our sample here, we can see that there's actually a couple of paragraphs. And ours doesn't really have much in the way of paragraph breaks. So we really need to define what we've pasted in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put my cursor on the start of that paragraph, the first paragraph, and I'm going to press Shift, and then there's usually a key labeled on your keyboard. It might be hidden or whatever, but it's very useful. Shift End is one way to do it, or you could. It's nice if you've got a good keyboard to do it. If not, you can go Alt Z to put in the wrap on, and you can just use your mouse and select that paragraph and go Alt W. And you can see here it's defined that as a paragraph. Let's define this as a paragraph as well, because it certainly is one, Alt W. All right, so we've got 2 paragraphs defined, which is great. Now I might put a heading in here, I think. So I might go cat, and I will go, once again, I've selected the word cat, and I go Alt W, and this time it's selected it as P, but I don't want P, I want this as an H1, and that's just to get a heading. Maybe I'll say cats, not cat, much better, all right. Now I look over at my browser over here, maybe I'll put this over here, maybe that will be a better way to do it. All right, so this is the text that I want to get to eventually. And I can see that the word cat, fearless caddis, is bold. So this thing here is bold. The way you can do that, there's multiple ways you can do it, but the easiest way to make that bold is if you go Alt W and B, and that will make that bold. The Alt W that I keep talking about is the HTML tag wrap extension. So you've got to make sure you have that extension or it won't work. All right, and we can see now that we've highlighted this. That's great. What else do we need to do? We can see that fearless caddis is italics, which is pretty easy to do as well. So let's select fearless caddis, Alt W, I. And you can see we've got fearless caddis in italics, which is great. And domestic cat or house cat is bolded. So let's do that. So domestic cat, Alt W, B, and house cat, Alt W, B. And you can see we've got those 2 done as well. All right, so we could go on through all of this and just do the, sorry, keep going and doing that. But I think you get the point now. We can bold things. Our next challenge is to do a link. So these blue words for the Wikipedia page, if I click on it, it links to domestication. And I think that's really what we need to do next. So let us create a new file called domesticated.html. All right, and we can do the exclamation mark. And let's grab the first paragraph of domesticated, or domestication, I should say. And let's put it in there in the body, just like we did before. Let's shift home. I'm pressing shift home there and Alt W and mark it as a paragraph. And when I preview it, it should look okay. I might put here domestication, shift home, Alt W, H1. I don't know why that's not doing an H1 there. Sometimes you have to refresh this. It's got a bit of a lag on it. Now you notice that we've gone back to serif type font. So that's because we need to link in, link, tab, style.css. See, it picks it up. So here we have a really nice thing or a feature where we've got the one style sheet applying to all of our sheets. Makes life a lot easier because it means that we make a change in the one style sheet and it will affect all of our sheets, which is really good. All right, what I think I want now is I want to create a link between index.html and domestication. So let's go to, let's see if I can find it. Actually, I've closed it for some reason. Index.html. Okay. All right. So I want to take the first instance of domesticated in the text on index.html, and I want to create a link to our domestication page. That's what I want to do. So here is the term that I want. So I can highlight it. So to highlight the word, I've just double clicked it, Alt W and A space href equals. And now here you need to put in the name of the page. Now our page was domesticated.html, so we need to put that in. And what we should get is, when we preview this page, a link. And if I click that link, it brings up domestication, which is excellent. So we've now created 2 linked pages, very important for your assessment task. So what I'd like to do now maybe is I'd like to put a back sort of thing here, so I can go back. So I will go to domesticated.html, and at the back here I'm going to go maybe back, and maybe I'll make that h3 or something, so it's nice and big. And I also need to make it an href to go back to index.html. So I double click, Alt W, A space href equals, and then index.html. And what that means is when I click this, it now goes back to cat. So I've got a two-way link, forward and backwards. Now, the only other major thing we've got here is that you'll see our links for Wikipedia. There's no underlining unless I hover, which we won't cover in this sort of lesson. But basically, they're just in blue. So what they've done is they've changed the styling. And for the body, they've set a character, an attribute called text decoration. I think text decoration none. And I think might have mucked it up a bit. Text decoration none should. Okay, I remember what I've done wrong. I remember the anchor tag is a bit special. The hyperlink sort of tag is a bit special. You need to put that on its own separate line. So we're affecting the anchor tag, and we want to say, we put that in brackets. Sorry about this. Tab down. Okay, and you can see it's done it now. So you can see that there's no underline, and if I go back, there's no underline. So it's gotten rid of the underline. So if you want to get rid of the underline on links, put the A and then text decoration none. You can actually do something like an anchor tag colon hover. And what you can do here is you can say text decoration underline. What that means is when you hover over it, it goes to underline. So there you go. That's pretty much all I wanted to go through for this first lesson. Um, Make sure you don't just watch the video, make sure you actually actively do this stuff. It's the only way you're going to learn it. You're going to make mistakes and it's going to be frustrating, but you need to go through that process to really get good at this. I'd also try and recommend you use as many hotkeys as possible. Get used to using the Alt W, like highlighting text, Alt W, and then B or whatever sort of tag you're trying to put on it. I'll leave it to you to do some practice and see you in the next lesson.